Now, having seen the views.py and understood after understanding from this Django Girls tutorial as to how we are writing our views, one thing we need to kind of notice which has been done differently by me and is often done in that manner. So, what is being returned over here is not a HTTP response. So, you see that they have not gone ahead and they have not necessarily done this import which I did over here on line 398 399. So this block that I'm highlighting now, so they've not gone ahead and done the HTTP response import, which is okay. So they've gone ahead and rendered a request. Within the same, they've gone ahead and mentioned as to what the template would be, the template location, and what I have as context. The context dictionary is again, it's just, they just gone ahead and created a dictionary and they put all of that on one line of code over there which says return, render, and all of this. So this can also work, but then if you want to do something that I have done, this is much easier to understand, wherein you are doing two imports, which are of course extra for this kind of formatting of views. And the advantage that you get is you can combine different lists or different query sets in one particular context, and this would be required now going forward. Right now, I like I said, I just have for Snapdeal and for Amazon India. Going forward, I could be displaying data on one particular template from many different vendors, from many different sources that I am extracting this data from. So I would definitely require a context dictionary, and if I do something of the sort that they've done over here, things would become extremely messy for me. So that is one difference I could see in the views. Besides that, of course, the filter, the filter on the query sets is visible over here. So what they've done is, firstly, they've gone ahead and done a filter on the published date. So later than a certain value, whatever that value is the published date for that particular post, and then you order by the published date. So you pick a published date, say from 6 months earlier or 2 months earlier or whatever is there, and then you go ahead and order by. Now, some of this filtering comes in use when we get a certain input from the end user. So you take an input from the end user, and accordingly you dynamically modify the query set. So that is where you would probably use this to a great advantage. Now there are other Django projects that I have, which I will showcase in videos later on, wherein I have used this filter function of the query set quite extensively. And so anyway, so now what I'll do is I'll now focus on the most important part of my this particular project, which is the crawlers. So like I explained initially, this project started off after I decided that there was some kind of comparison of retail stores, online retail stores, kind of a application that I would be creating. And I googled and found some of this code base on GitHub. So the initial code base is not mine, so I got some of these initial ideas from GitHub, and then I built upon that over a period of time. So this particular file, that is the crawlers file, is, let me say, almost and I'll document that over here, almost 60% same code as the code base from GitHub, and I will give that initial GitHub URL over here. I will make sure that is there. As of now, I have not given that because it is slightly difficult for me to ascertain. There are a couple of repositories that are using the same code as to who was the initial person who has gone ahead and kind of open source this. I think it is somebody from Bangalore, but I still need to confirm. So once I have confirmed that, I'll go ahead and give due credit over here for sure. So now, having said this, what is happening over here? This is quite a critical, you know, quite a critical .py mod, file for this particular project, because what happens in here is what is usually called the heavy lifting for the entire project, right? So, and what, like I did a video yesterday, or I think day before yesterday, wherein I was displaying I was displaying similar code on on an IPython notebook, on a Jupyter notebook, and that was only for Amazon. Now what I'll do is I'll show you only for Snapdeal. So the first thing that I do is I go ahead and import the Selenium WebDriver, and I import keys and other things over here. I don't necessarily require Selenium, is what I found out later on. But the initial code base was like this, and that is what they were doing. So it is still there, but as we'll go down in this particular file, we'll see it's not necessarily required. So, okay, so the first thing is I create a class. It's called crawler. This is similar to the initial code. Okay, and I also go here and line 4, 5, 6, 7, I go and import requests, regular expressions, IO, again, IO I don't require. From BS4 import Beautiful Soup. So this is the latest version of Beautiful Soup. And line 13 onwards, I start class crawler, and the initial definition, which is the self. So that's a mandatory definition as far as classes for Python are concerned. And then within that class, I define an object or a function, which I then call crawl, simply crawl. And crawl basically has these parameters. So, like I've commented over here on this particular line, the self is the default parameter. The platform can be Snapdeal, Flipkart, Amazon, Shop Clues, whatever it is that you will pass as a variable value to this particular parameter, the platform. And then the search terms. The search terms will basically come from the user's end. So the user will just provide us search terms, and then we will go ahead and search all of these platforms, whatever platforms we basically cater for, and that's about it. So that's how simple it is. So then I have a simple if. It starts off and it says, okay, if the platform value is equal to Snapdeal, then you go ahead and do whatever else is there down here. So you have a URL Snapdeal, empty this thing, which is instantiated or initiated, name Snapdeal, prices Snapdeal, Snapdeal URL list. So all these lists are basically defined. Then I import datetime to basically go ahead and create files, create some output files, do some kind of identification as to when this particular transaction so to say. So give it some kind of a timestamp, and that's the reason I do this. And then okay, so I am going ahead and defining int, and I am calling it int increment, and I am giving it, initializing it with a value of 20. So for I in range 3, which means it goes ahead and runs 4 times. So I increment it by 20. So what happens is 20 first go becomes 40, then becomes 60, then becomes 80, and that's about it, and it does not go further. Okay, and then we print it out. So now this bit of code, wherever I say print, this is the print that happens in my console. So it happens on my, uh, it happens here, right? So it happens both on the infobot on Heroku. On the in Heroku, it happens in the logs when we view the logs. So we're viewing the logs right now, and on my local development server, it happens in the console. So what I'll do is first I'll show you this entire thing happening in the local console, and then we'll go to the Heroku. So I'll come out of Heroku now, and I'll say run server locally. Okay, so server running locally, and this is where I want to run server. Again, what we have seen earlier, standard stuff. Okay, and now, oh, sorry. Now, okay, so we are seeing that there is some input already coming onto console, which is coming from the local development server. So now the application is running in local development mode, and now look carefully. We'll just focus on, or let me go through the code first and then run this. So that will make more sense. Okay. So int increment text. So I convert that into a string, and what I do is I have one base URL. So when I say the snap URL over here, line 33. So this is basically the base URL. So this is a very common practice for crawlers. So when you create an automated crawler for any website, a very basic practice wherein you have a base URL, and then you go ahead and either add the pagination or the search terms or whatever is there. So int increment text is basically the page numbers, right? So, and then the search term. So that's how the Snapdeal this thing works. Search terms are provided by the user where, so when the user goes ahead and types something over here, so say I were to type Apple or iPhone or Apple iPhone or Acer or whatever it is, so all of this I've already kind of searched for Adidas or air condition or Asus Zenfone, multicolor smartwatch, whatever. So anything starting with A, anything starting with B, blue star, deep freezer, backpacks, bag, blue, whatever. So this is basically the search term. So the search term comes from the user, and how does it come from the user is I go ahead and take input into a form. So the Django forms, and I have a forms.py. This particular file is almost 100% the same from the initial code. I never changed it. So there was no need to change it. Very simple. You have one simple form, takes the input from there, and on the template, if you see, this form is referred to, and that whatever input, that search term is there, is basically passed on to this particular file. Okay, so that's how simple it is. And then that URL gets encoded in UTF-8, and this was now some of this code over here I made a few changes here and there. There was a lot of let's say experimentation over here, and I'm not very sure if all of this code changes were required, or if it is actually very let's say optimized or not. I'll let you be the judge of that, but this is how it is right now. So what I'm basically doing is I download a text file with one particular page's soup in it. Okay, so firstly requests, then soup, and with that soup I download one particular text file, and then I again open up that particular text file, and I with requests only, not with soup yet. So over here requests only, and I download that particular text file, and I keep on incrementing that text file till I have all of the text for a particular request in it. So I go from page 1, which has got first 20 products, then next 20 products, the next 20, when I get my 80 products together, I come out of that for loop. Fine, so I come out of this for loop over here. For I in range 3, I come out over here, and then that text file, I read it using beautiful soup as soup. Basically a soup object. Now within that soup object, I do a find all on this particular element. So it is pictures is the class that pictures is the tag, or sorry, picture is the tag and class is picture element, or something to that effect, whatever. So I do that, and I get all the links into this particular list. So it says list for storing URLs of pics of products. So that is the first initial one. And then within this, I go ahead and find the tags which are source and src source set. So once I'm done with that, I go ahead and append that source set into this particular list, which is product pic URL. And then I do not bother much about this list. So this list is done for me. What this list has is, it's got all the HTTP links of the images of the products from those 80 products or those 4 pages which it has gone and basically crawled on Snapdeal. So that is that. And then I come down here and I say, okay, all links. So I need the links now of the product page as such. So again, then within that soup new, I am doing again a find all, and I am getting this particular div with class product description rating. So that is what I presume, and I don't. So again, I don't print this out to console, because on 26th March, like this comment says, it gave me a big dump. It gave me 19 records, but those 19 records were probably, large enough for the console. So it works okay, so I don't print it out. So now within that, again, I run a for loop, and I find 2 particular tags, the A tag and the P tag. Right, and within these tags, I go ahead and append these 2 whatever is there, whatever is the text within these 2 tags, and the link over here, the href link. I go ahead and append the names. So with the A, I pick up the names. Sorry, with the P, I pick up the names, and with the A, I pick up the links. And I go ahead and append. Sorry. I've gone. Okay, yeah, but this is okay. So I can again show you this list. So these are lists which I initially created. Okay, so these lists were empty, and I'm going and appending within these lists. So I again go ahead and append over here the URLs by extracting the href part of it. So that is what it is. And then I go ahead and join that particular list, and I create a string. Now, why I have done that is because it was difficult for me to extract the price as such. So I've gone ahead and created a string out of that all links, this one. So this all links which was here, I've gone ahead and created a string out of it by joining on white space. And once I have change later, seems we are again creating same list. I don't know why I've commented this. This seems to be an irrelevant comment over here. So maybe initially there was something which I was doing. It says Py3 not required and code UTF-8. Okay, so Python 3.5.2, I remember, yes, there was some challenge over here because I tried to port this code on 3.5.2 and there was some challenge. I don't necessarily remember what now. So by any which ways, I might have documented it elsewhere. So now what do? I basically do a regular expression split on this particular string. So I went ahead and created a string over here by joining that list uh, on white space, and now I go and split that particular string using this regex. And firstly, I compile the regex. So I just call it regex. I shouldn't necessarily call it regex. I should call it something else, and do the re.compile. And what this basically means is data price is what is actually given in that particular soup. So that data hyphen price equal to whatever has the price after that. So this bit of code over here will pick up the price. So this backslash over here, basically, if I were not to have this backslash, then this, what I'm highlighting right now, this punctuation mark will not be considered as a special character. So it will not work properly. So to have this special character working properly, I need to have this backslash. So backslash shows the regex that this is this is intended, that I intend to find something between in here, and this is to be considered as the outer boundary of whatever it is that I'm trying to find, and not this is to and this is the outer boundary of my regular expression as such. Okay, and so re multiline, re dot all, of course. So I want this to be searched over multiple lines, and re dot all I forget right now. So any which way. So if you were to Google for regular expressions, the very first few tutorials that will come up will clarify all of this. So this is very basic regular expressions, nothing very fancy. So I've said main magic on all over here, but that is not the case. There is no magic here. Okay. So all price one is re dot find all regex string or yeah. So there is some change that I have done over here which I now don't remember. So I haven't documented it very well. Whichever way. So this is one print that we see. So this is one print within the console that we'll see, which will show all the prices of Snapdeal. So now again, for item in all price one, which is this, um, so so this is simple. So basically, re.find all is, so this regex that we have compiled, that is being run on this particular string, our earlier string. So this is okay. So what will happen is all of those regular expressions, all of those strings that we are looking for with this particular regular expression re dot compile that we have done over here will basically be the prices. So it will be something like 599.00 or 6999.00, whatever is there. All of that will get collected in this all price one, and this all price one, all underscore price one, is basically a list. So then within that list I iterate and I append each and every item from within that list into that prices Snapdeal. uh, Now this seems like an unnecessary step. I probably could have just gone ahead and called this one prices Snapdeal and used it, so I might not have required to append this, but I don't necessarily remember if that is correct or that is wrong right now, so I'll just let that be. So now names Snapdeal, I already okay. Now for some reason I have to again encode and decode. So like I said, I had a lot of challenges over here, and I kept on playing with this for almost like 2-3 weeks till I got to the current status. So I'm not necessarily sure if I'm following the correct way of the correct Pythonic way of doing things, or not, but that is how I have done it now. Okay, and this works fine. The Snapdeal one works absolutely fine, and I've had absolutely no complaints about the Snapdeal code. So I haven't changed anything over here. And so what this returns, what this particular function returns, which is the defined crawl, it returns these particular things for Snapdeal only. Now, having said this, because I defined or because the initial function was defined in this manner, wherein it had these parameters, self, platform, and search terms, I went ahead and gave this if platform is equal to Snapdeal and just went ahead with the rest of it, writing all of it within this if loop. Uh, uh, if we were not to do that, if we were to remove this platform from here, and then just this crawl, I could just name it crawl underscore snap, and make sure that it was only for Snapdeal. That is one thing which could happen. But any which way, so this is working fine. I didn't feel like changing anything. So it returns URL Snapdeal, name Snapdeal, prices Snapdeal, and prod pick URL. So it returns all these lists. And now we go to the views. Now where do the views catch this? The views catch this in this function right on top. So yeah, so this one define prod crawl view. So object is a crawler. So created an object of class crawler. So we've already seen that. So it is not crawler anymore. Crawler underscore test. Yeah. So that. So that is one. So if request method is post, which is okay. So if the form has got some post data and the form is valid, so you go ahead and give a success message. Not necessarily required, but then okay, fine. So I wanted to play around with flash messages for a bit. So now that we've come to this particular stage, I will show you what is happening on the development server. So if I go ahead and look for shoes like we were doing yesterday, I say shoes. The moment I say shoes over here, we'll immediately go to the console and see what's happening on the other end. So this is what is happening. So he immediately goes through that increment, int increment 20, 40, 60, 80, and only 40, 60, 80 get printed out. And then it gives you that price list for Snapdeal. So within those punctuation marks, you get this Unicode text over here, and there are no decimals, nothing. So Snapdeal kind of was pretty much easy to manage. Then regex search pixel. So okay, it still says pixel over there. I'll change that. In the crawlers test, it still says pixel. It shouldn't. Yeah. Okay, so this is basically a regular expression for searching the product name. So the Amazon one is similar to the Snapdeal one, just that I call it crawl Amazon in place of just crawl over here. Okay, so this is it, and then names sliced. So there are names which are there. So there's a name list which is sliced up, and that is showing, and the name list length, and so again, so this code, I'm printing so much of output over here. It is not necessarily required but just because so that it helps me to see if there is something going drastically wrong, and I can basically debug the code. So that's about it. So the moment we go ahead and enter something over here as our input, that view gets triggered, and with that view getting triggered, it pulls up those functions, those objects of class crawl from the crawler's test.py file, and it goes ahead and gives us that all of this dump, so to say, in the console. And now if I were to go and click to see your search results, and these are those success messages. So nothing fancy right now. I later on probably want to give them as JavaScript alerts, which basically pop up like they were doing on that other project of mine, wherein you could see them popping up whenever we updated the cart. So it says click to see your search results. We go there, and then again we get to see the shoes. Yeah, so nothing fancy here. So it just takes you to another template, and this entire dump is then, yeah. So I think that's about it. So there's nothing much else in this project. There are certain small nuances, but that's about it. So as far as this tutorial goes, so we've done most of the query sets bit, and what is there other than this is Django templates. So the templates, yes, the templates then we can cover now. So how is all of this getting populated? So like in the last video, I just quickly went over the templates. Again, let me show you as to so this is the products index. So we saw the products index in the last one. We can also look at something called the Snapdeal view. So like you see over here, it is page 1 of 1233. So this is basically that L pagination. So in my settings.py file, I had something called the L pagination. Let me show you that again. Okay. Settings.py. Within the project folder, so in the installed apps, we have something called L pagination. So like I said, I will explain that later. So this L pagination is what helps us do this pagination. So you are on page 1, and the moment you click on next, it takes you to page 2, and over here you start getting this page 2 thing, right? So in case you don't want to change things over there, you just enter in the up there with the URL. You can change the page number. I changed it from 1 to 12, and I am now going and entering. It takes me straight away to page 12. So it shows over here, reflects page 12 of 1233. And like you see over here, so this is a simple HTML table. Due to some I think I'm not I'm not coded this properly. Otherwise, you should get the product name here, the listed price, time when it was queried, and retailer's page. So the retailer's page and everything is okay. The product names are not coming up. I just have to probably just look at the template. That's all. And so on June 11th, this was queried. And if I were to just go ahead and do 1232, let's see what turns up. Okay, so page 1232 of 1233. So June 11th. No, this is now incorrect. Yeah, because unfortunately, it seems for some weird reason on each and every page I am getting the same. I need to fix this. I need to fix this because I'm getting June 11th till June 11th only, whereas I should get beyond June 11th. So if I go next, I get June 15th, okay, 11:35, okay, and next, okay, June 15th, yeah, data is changing, but beyond a certain, yeah, it will not go beyond a certain page. Yeah, so somewhere I think I've restricted, yeah, now it's got stuck. So it is actually not going beyond page 12 or 13. Yeah, so okay, so we can straight away go and debug this, and we can, or rather we can straight away just go and look into the code. There's no bug over here. There is something wrong in the code that I have written, and that would be found in my views.py. So if I go to my views.py, so firstly to find out as to how do I find out that what is the URL which is giving me this particular template. So it's basically I need to look for within Infobot search URLs. I need to look for a URL that's named Snapdeal. Okay, so first let's go to the urls.py file, and we go to the urls.py. Within the Infobot, within the application, the urls.py, and we look at that, and it says Snapdeal. Where does it say Snapdeal? It doesn't say Snapdeal here. Okay, yeah. So this is the one. So okay, the view is also called Snap PL view. Okay. So it's a class-based view. Okay, so wherever I write fart, that's basically something that I need to notice. I need to focus upon, and then there's some acronym which is there, so which is okay. So class-based views, view name as view. Okay, so this is a class-based view, snap underscore p underscore l view. So I go here to my views, and I want to find this. So this is almost at the end of my file, I'm aware. So I'll just scroll down, and this is the one. Okay, so it's a list view, which is okay because it is listing out most of my objects from the database, and context super okay. Oh, fine. So basically what has happened is I've restricted it to 100 objects. Give latest 100 records from database, it says. Okay, and if we go over here and we look, so even though that pagination works, I think I have around 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 9 3 3 6. Okay, I have 10. So it will only work for initial 10 pages, beyond which it will not work. So if I go to page 1, I see this. I go to page 10. Yeah, perfectly fine. So I get this last value 79363 of June 11th. If I were to go back to page 9 and have a look, see, I probably get a different value. And if I go to page 11, I will get the same value there. Yeah, so that makes sense. So because I have restricted this to 100 over here, and let's change it and see. So if I go ahead and change this to 150, I'll change my comment also. I go and change this to 150 over here. So let's see if I can go beyond page 11 and see this. I do a refresh here, and yes, the values on page 11 itself have changed. Perfect. So I go to page 12 and I will get different values. What I'm getting over here at the bottom is 40,900 for June 11th. I go to page 12, I'm getting 73940, which is okay for June 11th. And similarly, I go to page 14, I get a different value perfectly. So I've come to June 9th from June. Otherwise, I was always stopping on June 11th. I've come down to June 9th. Perfectly fine. So this works. Okay, so I need to fix this somehow. And the reason I probably have got this done this way is I didn't want to pull out too much data out of the database. It was probably not required, right? So, and any which ways, this was more of experimental code to begin with. Okay, so back to that Django girls tutorial. So this is how basically our templates are working, and I think that's about it. So we don't have much more over here. And yes, if you've been along with me for all of these videos, please give yourself more than a donut, because I've been doing this in a very unstructured manner. The structured tutorials would be the classes which I'll be conducting online. So those will be more structured and would be done along. Okay, thanks a lot.